All right, welcome to another episode of the Momentum Interview Series. My name is Mo, and we are speaking to experts in this space. Today, I'm speaking to Mark Moore, Senior Director of Global Deal Desk at Treasure Data. Mark, welcome to the recording.
Nice to meet you, Mo. So I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in the Oakland Hills, and I work for a company called Treasure Data, which is in the customer data platform space.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about Treasure Data and the mission your company is trying to accomplish right now.
Sure. Treasure Data started as a data platform and has moved into a much broader sense. It moves into managing and consolidating large customer data and allowing the customer to then leverage that data to make intelligent marketing moves.
Who would you say is your ideal customer?
Very large enterprises who are looking to communicate more effectively with their customers. We pull in all sorts of disparate information from different sources and consolidate it, giving our customer a unified vision of who their customer is, and they can act off that.
Treasure Data offers a bunch of CDP services at the moment for marketing, sales, and customer service. Which one has proved to be the most popular service so far, and which one is your fastest growing offering?
Okay, so we started in the marketing space. So we currently have CDP for marketing, and we are just now rolling out what's called CDP for services. And that really is intended to be used in a call center environment, which would allow the call center agent to get real-time information on the customers. I mean, real-time. You can tell what they're looking at on the website, what they have in their shopping carts. So it'll completely change the whole experience of a call center with real-time information that crosses pretty much everything that the company knows about the customer. It'd be profound. We are just rolling that out. We have a couple customers. We have a lot in the pipeline. So that's where we're going next. And then we're doing the same thing in CDP for sales. We're rolling that product out next month. So there's going to be a whole bunch of development in our near future.
Lots of growth. I like that.
A lot of growth. We're in hyper growth mode right now.
Hyper growth. That is
hyper growth. We just announced about a $225 million investment in the company by SoftBank.
Masayoshi Son believes in the vision of Treasure Data then.
Oh, yes, yeah, he does.
I like that. And, a lot of businesses were decimated by COVID-19, but how did COVID-19 specifically affect the growth of Treasure Data? What's one good thing that came out of the pandemic and one challenging thing that you've had to overcome?
Well, it's an interesting question because I joined the company during COVID. So I started in August of 2020, and I've never met my coworkers in person. So we are a 100% virtual company at this point here in the States. And it doesn't seem to have impacted us at all. I mean, I came into a deal desk role thinking, how am I going to function in this role, in a remote environment where I can't walk over to the CFO's office and park myself outside of his door to capture approvals. But it hasn't been an issue. I mean, we are extremely collaborative. I'm on Zoom meetings all day long. Zoom and Slack are my communication platforms. And as far as the industry, I think we're one of the industries that's benefited from COVID. Companies are looking at how they're going to communicate with their customers and how better leverage e-commerce. We fit right into that space. So, in some spaces, I think like ours, it's actually been, it's helped us grow.
Had you worked in a remote position before you joined Treasure Data?
Never. Well, I have. At my prior job, I commuted to Southern California. So I spent a week in Southern California, a week in Northern California, back and forth. And I've done the same thing to New York from California, where I bounce back and forth on a weekly basis. But you had the ability to build personal relationships in person, and that makes a big difference. I'm truly amazed at how deep relationships have been built just using Zoom. I really feel part of the company, and the culture of the company is really profound here.
If you had a choice, would you go with a fully remote option, a hybrid option, or fully in office working?
I would go hybrid. And in fact, we're talking about that as a company. The company is extremely collaborative. They're looking at what company surveys about what we should do next. When COVID hit, they gave up the lease on our large corporate office in Silicon Valley. Our lease came up for renewal and they didn't renew. and we decided we would be remote. And now we're trying to figure out what to do post COVID. And I think what we're going to do is be hybrid, where we'll be flexible, we'll be remote um, most days, and pull people in as teams.
When you think about your current role at Treasure Data as Senior Director of Global Deal Desk, what do you spend most of your time doing? What keeps you up at night?
Right now, we're implementing systems. So we just went live with a new CPQ tool. We went on Salesforce CPQ about 3 weeks ago, and we're implementing Ironclad CLM. We're in the last stages of going live there. We already moved a couple of workflows into production, and also getting contracts out. So and getting the team trained on Salesforce CPQ. It's been a pretty crazy couple months.
And what are some of the friction points affecting the team right now?
The challenge we have and we have had is growing. I mean, it's growing from a small company to a mid-sized company where we need more systems in place and we need more automation. I was writing most order forms manually myself, and there's no way we can scale doing that. So I'm really thrilled with our Salesforce CPQ implementation, which now our output is customer ready, it's self-service. It looks beautiful. I'm really happy that that went as well as it did.
That's fantastic to hear. And
I'm so relieved.
yeah, no, I bet that saves you a lot of time, actually, just thinking about how you had to do everything manually yourself. What are three key metrics that you use to judge the performance of your deal desk team?
I have an old boss who I respect and love. And when I started working with him, he told me that I shouldn't care what he thought about him. That when it came down to doing my review, what he would look for is like customer satisfaction from the sales field. And I thought, "Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I've never really thought about that." But it's profound. I mean, my customer base are the salespeople and the management team, and I measure my success by my relationships with them. So with my current boss, when I started, I said, well, I just think you should be aware that I'm not really going to care about what you think about me. I really more care about what the field. And I had to explain to him my underlying thought, because I don't think he agreed with me when I first said it. But I think he agrees now. I think it's really building relationships with the field, keeping clean deals. And in the field, I mean, my customers are also legal and finance, keeping them happy with the agreements we have, and building things that are repeatable in process.
Mm.
So those are the metrics I look at. It is customer satisfaction from the field,
That is
including internal. Yeah,
including internal. Yeah, that is an
yeah.
excellent North Star to follow. And then let's talk about sales tools for a little bit. So you mentioned Salesforce CPQ as being part of your sales toolbox. What's your sales tech stack like?
We're built on the Salesforce platform, Marketo and all the marketing lead generation tools therein. The tools that I use are mostly Salesforce, Salesforce CPQ now, implementing Ironclad CLM, which is going to be our contracting platform and repository for contracts, and Momentum. So we just implemented Momentum probably about 3-4 months ago. And that's where I play.
How has Momentum increased or improved your sales workflow at Treasure Data so far?
It solves a problem I've never been able to solve previously. The challenge that I have and have had in my career is, how do I document approvals? Because my job as a deal desk is to review all deals. So deals come to me, I review them, and then I route them based on an approval matrix of who requires ultimately approve them. But that's up to me to do. So I communicate by email, I communicate, in the old days at the kitchen, at lunchtime, talking to executives or waiting outside the CFO's door to get approval for non-standard payment terms. And I would get approvals, and then I could approve the deal. But where is documentation for that? As we're ramping to grow, and I would say hopefully an IPO, approvals are going to become, approval documentation is going to become critical in an audit. And I can't just say, oh yeah, well, I don't remember, but I'm sure I got this approved. We use Slack as our communication platform. So what I'm doing now is having my approval conversations in Slack. Then I just archive them directly into Salesforce. So I don't have to worry anymore about like documenting approvals, because it's all there.
What are some of the trends in sales and deal desk ops that companies should be aware of?
Data. I swear, it's just like there's so much data out there and how to use it, and executives are wanting to get more insight into deals. We're using data to be more predictive. When I started in sales operations about 25 years ago, sales operations was a backwards looking organization that looked at slicing and dicing all the closed won information. Sales operations today and deal desk are more forward looking and helping the sales organization make intelligent decisions and help them structure deals. It's a completely different paradigm. And it's a lot more fun, actually.
I'm glad to hear that last part. Actually, it's good to know that much is made of culture. What kind of culture has the treasure data management try to build, and how's that been going?
It's extremely open, extremely collaborative. It's odd working for a company that communicates so much. At points, I kind of wonder, like, oh, should we even know this information? With the acquisition we just went through with SoftBank, we were communicated with on a bi-weekly basis of what was going on. In my experience in prior life, those things were held at, very tightly at the senior executive level. And the communication was so clear, and I felt we were being covered, that I knew what was going on. I didn't worry about it. I kind of felt like I was getting onto an airplane and the pilots were going to fly the plane and I'd have to worry about it. I know we would get to the other side and I'd get off the plane. It's a really very open company. And like I said, I've never worked at a place that was this open and this collaborative.
Do you think that's going to continue? You think that's going to become a wider trend across the industry, this transparency thing?
I don't know. I would also say that's one of the benefits of being, a 500 employee company, is that we are more of a family. In my experience with company size is, when they start getting to be 1,200, 1,500 employee, culture changes, and culture has to change at that point. You're no longer a family. You're getting into departments and hierarchies, but we are not a hierarchy company here at all. And I think that's our size. And I think we're good for a couple more years. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we grow.
It definitely will be. And speaking of that growth of teams and companies, how has your own personal hiring process changed over the years? What's the top criterion you look for in a candidate?
That's an interesting question. I've been working professionally for, it's kind of scary to say, 35 years. So I started my career in accounting and worked my way up to assistant controller, managing the whole accounting department. And I have learned a lot about managing people over time. I like to work. So I prefer being an individual contributor than being a boss. And when it comes to managing people, I like to have more of a mentoring position, hiring more senior people who can run their own tasks than being responsible for telling them how to do things. So I would say, in my own experience, it's hiring more senior people. Luckily, as a senior director, I can hire people who run things for me and just work with them as collaborators.
And what would be a red flag for you in a candidate?
Somebody who can't handle a curveball. I think, especially in deal desk, we get thrown so many different things, and you really have to be able to respond to the underlying need, not the question. So, when I'm working with sales reps on structuring a really large deal and they're convinced it has to be some way, I try to understand what the need is and address that.
You've had 5 deal desk specific roles. Is that correct?
I've had more than that. I started doing deal desk before it was deal desk. My background was in accounting, and I was auditing deals post close on the finance side. And the sales team pulled me out of that role in the late 1990s to help them structure deals upfront. So I've been doing deal desk since before it was deal desk. I've been doing sales operations before it was sales operations. Every company I went to early in my career, where I followed the same management team around, which made a big difference. They'd have to create my role because they didn't know what I was. I was kind of like the chief of staff to the head of sales, doing what I did. So I've been doing this for a long time.
Every couple of years, The names of these roles, the titles of these roles change, but the underlying fundamentals remain the same.
When Workday was a startup, I was hired to help set up sales operations. I managed Salesforce. I managed incentive plans. I managed, did the board deck. I mean, I did the whole gamut of sales operations. I've had jobs that are as broad as that, but my sweet spot really is deals, and that's what I love to do. And I would say, kind of in the sunset year of my career, I'm back to doing what I really love, and that's the deal side. And that's where I think my real value is.
What's one key insight most people don't realize about the deal desk role?
I think you have to be a subject matter expert on everything. I mean, I think I am working with sales reps, helping them structure deals. So I have to know our products. I have to know our products really well. I have to know what they do. I have to know what they can't do, because in case we're doing any kind of creative writing on the order, I need to know what lines to stay within. And I think you kind of have to build relationships across the entire company, because those relationships have to be leveraged, for deals. I talk to product people, I talk to finance people, I talk to legal people, I talk to support people, I talk to everybody in the company when it comes to deals.
Productivity tips are usually subjective, but what's your best productivity tip?
Not sleeping. I would say making things self-service at this point. At this point, I think Deal Desk should focus on getting as much as can be done self-service, so that time can be spent on the large, complex deals that need a lot of handholding. There are deals that will never be able to be automated. And I want to make things as easy for the field to do themselves, all the way from quoting to order form generation and routing for signature. If things are approved, they can manage themselves, and let the complex deals take up time. I don't want to have to do simple things.
I don't want to have to do simple things.
Right, let the field do that themselves. I mean, it's like, there's no reason why I have to route things for signature. I mean, there's tools for that. Hopefully we'll have those live next week. We're still like in 3 weeks into CPQ. So right now I'm still managing routing everything for signature, which is why I said that. But it has to be done. So I do it.
It's part of the process. And which book or podcast or show are you currently reading or binging on?
Oh, lots. Wait, this has been the years of Netflix, but I'm a huge fan of Terry Gross on Fresh Air on NPR. I listen to Terry Gross every day. There's such a wide array of things. She talks from sports people, the national, politicians, to pretty much everybody who's anybody has been interviewed by her, and I think she's a great interviewer.
If you were on her show, what would you and her talk about?
I've been trying to figure out how I could get on a show, because I would figure then I've led a successful life. I can't imagine what I would ever have to talk to her about. My life is so, I want to say normal, but that's been a dream, but I don't see what I could talk to her about. I don't think there's ever going to be like a Nobel Prize in Deal Desk. So,
well, I mean, that's maybe on its way. The race isn't over yet. So if you were starting your career all over again, what would you do differently?
I love what I do. And I think what I've done, everything I've done has brought me to the point where I am today. In 2002, when the economy was bad, the market was bad, companies were challenging, and I quit my job and I took an 8-year sabbatical. Now at this point in my life, I'm thinking, I wonder if that was such a smart thing to do. It was a hard thing to come back from, to get back into work. Luckily, Workday, I had relationships prior to that point, and Workday tapped me to come in and set up their sales operations team and department. But maybe not taking an 8-year sabbatical and in the middle of my life. But I love what I do, and I keep coming back to it. So it's obviously what I love doing.
It is. And you're obviously very good at it. And I can't wait to see where your career goes from here. I'm not sure.
Retirement.
But so you've never thought about maybe going into training the next generation of deal?
No, I think I'm ready to retire. I can retire at any point, and I keep working because I love to work. but I'm prepared to stop at any point. And I will at some point. I'm getting too old for this.
What's your post-retirement plan? Do you know already?
I do. My husband's from Colombia, and we'll probably move to
Nice.
Colombia. I speak Spanish fluently. My family's Latin. So we'll move down to Latin America and probably travel. We're thinking of maybe going to Europe for a year, bumming our way around Europe for a year, and then relocating down to South America.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You guys gonna do like have you ever thought about doing maybe a tour of South America with him, or is that?
Yes. Yeah. So once we'll set up a base and we'll start exploring. And I'm also thinking of maybe, if I get really bored, opening an ice cream company in Colombia. It's a lovely country, lovely people, and it would be fun.
I can imagine. Hopefully, I can make it down there one day.
Hey, come.
and I'll stop by the. Have you thought about what you're gonna call your ice cream store? The more.
No idea yet. So we've actually been playing with that. So we'll have to figure that out.
Eat more ice cream.
I don't know if I want to work that hard to actually run a company. I just think it'd be fun to have like an ice cream company that we could go to every day. So
no, well, I wish you the best of luck with that. Thank you so much for making the time to share your insights with us today. I've been speaking to Mark Moore. He's the Senior Director of Global Deal Desk at Treasure Data. Mark, we'll catch you again next time.
Thank you, Mo.